Hi everyone, I hope you're doing well. Before I begin this video and you'd like to use OCD Recovery's coaching services, please reach out to Phil at ocdrecovery.com and he will get back to you as quick as he can. So today guys, I wanted to speak about what does conditional self-acceptance look like? And I wanted to go into some of the dangers of having conditional self-acceptance, how it can impact ourselves and our lives, and just how you can look out for that in your daily life. So here goes. So with conditional acceptance, right, you are saying I can only accept myself as a human if I have X, Y, Z. It's basing your entire rating upon one thing. And it's very problematic when we have that. Well, why is that the case? Well, when you get that one thing, right, not only is OCD going to move the goalposts and you're never going to be entirely fulfilled, when you don't get that thing, and which is going to happen being a fallible human, then you are going to have the most extreme emotional swings from one to the other. And Nick gives a good analogy of this. When you have conditional self-acceptance, you swing in a very volatile fashion from one point to the other, right? And it's the extreme good emotions and it's the extreme bad emotions too. And when you have unconditional life acceptance, you're more in that middle ground. And it's not saying that you don't ever experience good and happy emotions. I'm not saying that at all. It's like when you do experience that, it's healthy. Like you're not putting your whole worth as a human being on that one particular thing, and you still enjoy the benefits of that, right? Because when you're so volatile in conditional self-acceptance, when you experience, the inevitable bad things. So say, for example, one day you might give a good presentation at work and you feel really good. And the next day you might give a really bad presentation and you feel really bad. You're going to feel very, very anxious on that bad day and you're going to be paralyzed. You're going to feel emotionally paralyzed. What does my boss think of me? What does my company think of me? I'm a failure. I'm no good. And it's going to be a very unhealthy emotion that you hold on to. And it's going to take a little bit of, a little bit of emotional resilience and strength to move past that. You might ruminate on the fact that you've done something wrong for a few days and it just keeps you very embroiled in that. It's going to keep you very stuck. So you need to be careful with that. It's like trying to fill up a bucket that's never going to be completely fulfilled, right? You're always chasing your tail and the goalposts are always going to move, right? You're never going to be content. You're never going to have that contentment that you're after. You're always looking for the next thing in order to try and come across as this amazing good person. It's like saying, if I have a six-pack, only then am I good. And you're going to be chasing that your whole life. And without that, every moment before that you don't have that, which might be a lot of it, you're going to feel very self-loathing, feel very bad, self-depreciating. You're going to be deathly afraid of what other people think of you. I'm no good. I'll never be good. And then the thing is, like, when you do get that, right, your brain is with conditional self-acceptance, your brain is still going to hunt out the next thing that you don't have. All right, maybe I don't have enough money now, let's go for that. And that is going to become like the center point of your conditional self-acceptance. And again, that's just going to call the shots. And then you're chasing your tail again because you're trying to put out that fire after you've just put out this fire with the body, right? So there's no line in the sand. Like I said, it's always going to move around. You're going to have dismal over concern with what other people think of you, with your body, your relationships, your work. You're going to be overthinking to the point where you might be paralyzed and actually perform counterproductively. You might, in your relationship, be very needy and insecure. Like in your body as well, you might even go on very strict and rigid diets, gym routines, even steroids to try and make yourself look better and trying to raise that feeling of inadequacy that conditional self-acceptance brings. You might show off for approval. The most satisfied people tend to be the quietest and use social media the least because they've got the least reason to seek validation. I'm not saying that people who I'm not saying people who are most self-satisfied aren't loud and don't flaunt it. Yes, of course they do. You look at some sports stars, but generally speaking, the most self-satisfied people who don't need other people's approval and approve of themselves and have unconditional self-acceptance, they don't have a reason to seek that in the external environment. Okay. What other signs are there of conditional self-acceptance? You know, lots of designer brands. Again, not inherently bad, but you know, it depends on the reason for it. If you're spending a lot of your portion of your disposable income on it, then that can be a problem. You know, I did that a lot. I wanted to fit in. I thought, oh, I'm only good if I have this, you know, this Balenciaga t-shirt or this Armani t-shirt. Only then am I good. But again, like, you get that and you sort of think, oh, what's the next thing that I can have? And you know, what do other people think of me? Do they think that I'm good now? You know, all of that, it just carries on. It's like a debt that can never be fully paid, you know. Other examples: conditional self-acceptance, you know, social media use, you know, constantly putting Instagram stories to get that validation from other people, show people where you are, you know, staying relevant, I suppose. Changing your WhatsApp display picture all the time, you know, changing your Facebook profile picture, filters and pictures, you know, putting the eye color changes on the filter because you can't accept the way that your eyes are, you can't accept the way that your eyes are that specific color. All of those different things. You know, plastic surgery as well, you know, nose fillers, lip fillers, boob jobs. You know, you can get the filler as well for wrinkles in your head, which a lot of guys actually do that now. You know, getting the white turkey teeth done. There's so many different ways in which conditional self-acceptance can really filter in, and it's more likely than not, it's not just going to be one behavior where you're conditionally self-accepting yourself. It's likely to be a lot of behaviors, and you know, that can really seep into your life, and you can really see that across different areas. Okay. Other examples as well, you know, changing your appearance constantly, changing your hair color, you know, piercings, tattoos. Again, I'm not saying that a person with unconditional self-acceptance can accept themselves with this, but it's just, you know, what's the reason for you doing this? Is it to try and, you know, get more acceptance and fill that bucket up? If so, then, you know, it's problematic, right? Asking other people how you look, you know, does my outfit look good? Does my hair look good? You know, checking your hair in the mirror for ages, taking you very long to leave the house to make sure that your hair's fixed in the right way. You know, self-comparison. You might see another person and think, oh, I wish I looked like that person. I wish I had that amount of muscle. I wish I had that body figure. And a lot of that can just be automatic. You know, a lot of this can just be happening on its own because you've so ingrained those feelings of conditional self-acceptance and inadequacy in you that you just do it on autopilot, right? Another one is, you know, you might be telling lies to sound cooler, or to fit in because you don't think that you're okay as you are. You might be covering up or masking certain things to try and fit in, and then you have to keep track of the lies that you tell other people. And trust me, I did that a lot, and in the end you lose track of what you say, and you know, you come across as disingenuous because people can eventually see through that. You know, the more time you're trying to seek to win others' approval, the less time you actually have to spend in yourself and think for yourself. So you're, in a way, you're living life not on your own terms, but in the eyes of other people because you're trying to fit this image, right? So you need to have a think about how you do that. You know, there's lots of different ways conditional self-acceptance can really seep in, and like I said, it's very counterproductive for your life. You know, it can cause the extreme emotions, it can cause a paralysis, definitely over concern with how you're doing and how other people think of you. It's like you're walking on eggshells and you're not being that true, authentic self. And you know, there's you're just bottled up. There's tension there. You know, you're so tense around everybody. You're monitoring what you're saying, what you're doing, and it's really no way to live, right? So how do you get to a place where you can have unconditional self-acceptance and not accept yourself based on one thing? Well, of course, it takes a little bit of time, but you know, the crux of this is, you know, seeing yourself and your characteristics as valid, seeing them as okay. You know, everything is valid as a human because it exists. You know, every action or thought that a human has, every attribute that they has, is valid because it exists. You know, we're valid because we exist. Okay, we have that inherent worth and value as being a human. You know, it would be impossible for you to look differently than the way you do now. It'd be impossible for me to not have, you know, black eyebrows and dark hair, you know, because I am the way I am and I have little control over that. That's the genetics that I've been given. Okay. And you know, unconditional self-acceptance is coming to terms with yourself and, you know, making the choice to accept yourself, because it is very much a choice. You know, you can choose to accept yourself, or you can choose to berate yourself or overlook your characteristics. You know, you have two options, and the first option, to unconditionally accept yourself, is definitely better. And that's also to say that acceptance doesn't mean agreement. You know, I can accept having a certain trait, you know, it doesn't mean that I have to like it. You know, I can accept having a certain characteristic or attribute. It doesn't mean that I have to like it. You know, that's also an important part. But we have to look at the irrational beliefs around you, around your personhood. You know, why shouldn't I look this way? Why shouldn't I have this certain characteristics? And then you find that there's limited evidence to support that. So you can't actually uphold the beliefs that you shouldn't look this particular way or you shouldn't be this specific way. And then it's decatastrophizing as well the certain elements that you have. So maybe you don't like your nose, all right? Just an example. And then you say, or you think, well, it's so awful that I have a big nose, or it's so awful that I have a funny shaped nose. You know, what do I possibly do with that? How can I possibly accept myself? Well, is it really that bad to have a nose that looks a certain way? At least you got a nose. You know, some people don't have a certain body part or characteristic that you have. You know, some people aren't even alive to experience what having a nose is, because, you know, the chances of us being here are sort of trillions to one, right? So it's gratitude. It's really seeing that. It's looking at the irrational beliefs around you and your personhood. You know, a lot of it is just becoming less tense, less up in your head. You know, choosing. You know, the key word there is choosing to accept yourself, like regardless, and really breaking down. You know, what's stopping you from accepting yourself. Whether you can act badly or look a specific way, there is always a way to come to terms with it and accept that, you know, in time. I'm not saying you're just going to click your fingers and be able to accept yourself and your characteristics and the things that you've done, how you look, but it's very much a journey. And, you know, the Albert Ellis books, How to Stubbornly Refuse to Make Yourself Miserable and The Myth of Self-Esteem, especially chapter 4 and chapter 5, they're very, very good for breaking this down in greater depth. So, yeah, just have a think about where conditional self-acceptance might be seeping into your life. Think about the measures that you can take to combat that. Okay, guys, thanks for this video, and I'll see you in the next one.